Hey everyone, how's it going? My name's Colin Brooks, and I am part of the Northwest District Leadership Council for Shape America. And this is the Northwest District webinar series where we are bringing webinars to Northwest District physical education teachers, um, as well as health teachers, and also any other physical educators around the nation that were interested in some professional development online. So I'm here today with Paul Clinton, who is a retired physical education teacher from Washington, and he's got some excellent information to share with us about presenting to your school board. So Paul, I'm going to go ahead and give it to you.
Okay, thanks, Colin, and I'm happy to get this opportunity to talk with you. As Colin said, I am retired, but I taught middle school physical education for many years. I'm also the president presently of the Northwest District and a past president of SHAPE Washington. Now, the name of my presentation is Presenting to Your School Board Preventative Medicine. And the reason I use the term preventative is that this isn't about talking to your school board when you have problems or if they're doing something to you. It's about talking to your school board when things are going really well, so that you can be in a situation where if people ever do want to cut your program, you're going to be able to know the school board and they're going to know your program. So it is preventative medicine. It's just like when we talk about exercise as preventative medicine, so is presenting to your school board. And the types of things that and reasons why we might want to do this. The big one is protect your program through tough economic times. When things are going wrong in the economy, school districts often are going to have to make cuts. And your school board members, they're good people. They care about the kids and they want to do the right thing. But if they don't know about your program, then you could end up being on the chopping block. So you need to make sure they do know about your program. Now, one qualifier here. This is only going to work if you have a good quality standards-based PE program. If you don't have that, then you don't have much to talk about, or you're going to get some tough questions. The other reason we want to present to the school board is just general education, so they understand the value of physical education and what we do. If you don't tell them, they simply are not going to know, or they're going to remember things that maybe they remembered from 30 years ago that, aren't the way things are now. And lastly, this is a big one. Every chance you get to practice articulating the value of your program to an audience, you get better at it. In fact, you want to do it more often because you get better at it. Now we're going to talk a little bit about what do we want to include in a presentation. And because you're not going to get, all day on this. They're going to give you 5 to 7 slides, 5 to 10 minutes. I need to catch their attention. So I definitely want to have statistics on students. If there's one thing the school board cares passionately about, is the students in the district. So have some stats on that. I, as a physical educator, always make sure in my presentations that I find a way to tie physical education to academics, because they will, that's a selling point that works for us. I try to put a human face on our program. So it's not just statistics, it's real kids and what's happening. Position your program as a leader. Okay, whatever they may remember about PE from 30 or 40 years ago or 20 years ago, we need to let them know that we are leaders, okay, in education and in what we're doing. Educate on the value of physical education. That's really what the whole presentation is about. And, at some point, once I have their attention, I am going to talk about the challenges we face. But I'm not going to start there. I want to start with some good information about their students to catch their attention. And if I'm going to ask anything of them, it's going to come at the end after I've already sold them on what we're doing.
Hey,
And
Paul.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. If you wanted to share your screen, I don't know if you were at the point where you wanted to share your screen, so we could see your slides, but feel free to go ahead.
Okay. Walk me through that, please.
Certainly. So you're going to go to the green button that says Screen Share,
Yep.
located on the left side of your screen. So go ahead and push that, and then push Entire Screen.
Okay. And we're screen sharing. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, and I'll get my PowerPoint up and running here. Are we good?
We are good. Thank you.
Okay. So we already covered why we're doing this, and the education and the practice and the kinds of things that we want to put into the presentation. Okay. Now I'm going to show a slide here of an actual presentation I made in January of 2013. And one of the things I want to notice is I have some of the things listed there that we talked about that you need to have in your presentation, stats and other educational things. But down at the bottom, I tried to list some of my credentials. Master of Science, CSCS, Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist, President of the Washington Alliance. The reason to do this is you want the audience to start out with the idea that you're an expert on what you're talking about, and they should listen to you. Now, the fact that you're a teacher in their district automatically means they're going to, listen somewhat. But if you have anything else that can say, wow, I better pay attention here because this is going to be a good presentation from someone who knows what they're doing. So when I start with fitness stats, I am fully aware that our program goes way beyond fitness stats, and you don't want that to be everything that people see or associate with your program. But the reason I start with them is it's an attention grabber about their kids. And I guarantee I have their attention when I show this slide. So if I'm looking at some of these, it's a 5-year period. And what we're showing is that we've increased the fitness of our students over a 5-year period. Different, things, sit-ups or hitting the healthy level at all 5 tests. And I use this time to also explain, well, what's the healthy level? Are these athletic tests? No, they're healthy levels on things. The other wonderful thing on these slides is if you look at any of them where it says spring, it's really high, and then we have a dip down in fall. And this is just telling them that, hey, when kids aren't in my physical education class, they don't stay in as good a shape. So, this is some evidence right here that we're effective, and I get their attention. But fairly soon, I need to move off of fitness, and so the next thing I always do is tie physical education to academics. An example would be one year, we took a look at the 5 fitness tests we do, and the kids who could pass every single test, they were 83% of them were passing all their classes. Only 17% had any kind of F. If we looked at another population that I call at risk, at risk is a student who can pass no fitness tests or maybe only one. They are really in bad shape. 51% of these kids had at least one F. Now, this is no statement of causation or anything of the like, but it catches the attention that, wow, maybe fitness is part of the answer here. And the fact that we already saw the preceding graph where kids get out of shape in the summer, maybe this is really important what we're doing for all of our academics. Now, where do I get this data? At my school, we use the WellNet software from Focus Fitness, and I download all my fitness data to spreadsheets. And then to get the information on student grades, I simply asked my principal and said, hey, here's what I want to do. I want to see if this matters. And she said, sure. And they gave me the data. The next year, okay, this is from the next year, I had a different bit of fitness data I showed them. This time I did GPA versus test passed. And we see the same type of thing. Kids who can't pass many tests have a lower GPA, and the middle kids move up a little, and the kids who could pass all of them have a much higher GPA. So this is looking at fitness is a part of the solution, and where do kids get fit in our PE program. The very next year, I was going to actually look at what happens if we moved kids from I can't pass any fitness test to I can pass 2 or 3. Did it have an impact on GPA? And I was getting ready to do that, but I retired and never did do that. So I would certainly love to see other people do that. So I really, at this point, have their attention, okay, in the first couple slides that I show them. Now is the time to put a human face on my program, okay, so that I can start to show them everything that physical education is. One of the things we did at our middle school is at the end of 8th grade, we had kids write evaluations where they talked about what were the things we did in physical education for your 3 years here. What are the ones that are going to prove the most useful to you in later life? And here's what the 8th graders told us. Number 1 was self-defense. Okay, they thought that was a valuable unit. Weight training, lots of kids liked weight training, girls and boys. HIV STD unit, that's part of physical education at our school, and the kids thought, wow, that's useful. Social dance, okay, always makes the top 5 every year, where kids may say, well, I wasn't sure that I'd like it or it'll be useful, but now that I've done it, oh yeah, that's going to be really useful for me later in life. And fitness profile, fitness testing, the kids say that, yes, I really need to know these things about myself. Now, what this is showing the school board is what's not there. Basketball and football and team sports don't make the top 5. It's not that they're not on the listing, it's just that the kids recognize that other things are more important. And I try to tell my school board, if we educate our students properly, they are going to understand the value of fitness and physical activity, and they tell us that, and what they say is important. The other thing to put a human face on it is I also ask kids to do reflection pieces at the end of 8th grade, where they're going to discuss how they've changed in 3 years. Okay, and this is typical of the kinds of things I get. Not only does this student say that, wow, you know, I've gotten stronger, I can do more push-ups, I couldn't do any early on, but they also say, wow, swing dance, you know, is a lot of fun and, you know, makes exercise fun. They're also talking about fitness profile. I'll be able to stay fit and healthy and have less chance of diseases. So these statements by the kids are the most powerful statements of the value. You're not getting kids writing a lot of statements saying, wow, you know, football's how I've changed or something like that. They're talking about all of these other things. And I make sure I leave some hard copies of a few of these with the school board. And I have hundreds and hundreds of these. And I also make sure that my principal gets to see these. Okay, now it's time for some education. Okay, they get a feel for our program and put a human face on it. I need to educate them on trends nationally and elsewhere. One of the most interesting ones here is that when you look at the U.S. obesity trends, the slide that pretty much all physical educators have seen this sequence of slides over 25 years, but very few of my school board members had seen this. So 1 year as a piece of education, I quickly ran through all these so they could see the rise in okay, the obesity rates in our state and the nation. It's a nice piece of education. It kind of supported the need for physical education. I also will want to position my program as a leader. Think about this. When they're looking to make cuts, okay, when times are bad economically, they don't want the best programs in the school being cut. So I need to make myself a leader. One example on that, in Washington, TPEP, which stands for Teacher Principal Evaluation, we had a new one that came out, and I think that most states had new ones coming out in the last 5 or 10 years, and we used the CEL 5D rubric. I educated the school board on what it means for physical education and let them know that we had already defined the rubric for specifically what it meant for physical education. And in fact, we did that before any other specialties had gotten that done. We talked about how the WellNet software that we utilize for fitness can be part of the student growth that's required in the state of Washington, but not all of the evidence of student growth. The other thing that I want to do right now is I also want to let them know how they should hold us accountable. If I am a leader in our school district, then I want to lead by saying, here's how you hold me accountable. The other reason I do this is because many of you have had an experience where maybe a lot of PE teachers in your district are doing a great job, but there's one or two who maybe have some improvements they could make. During this school board presentation, many principals are going to be in the audience, and I want them and the school board to know, here's what you should ask of your physical education teachers. So here's the slides I showed. 1, hold us accountable for fitness development. Clearly, you know, if you don't have data or any way software to track that, it's going to be tough. But hey, we've already seen that if you increase fitness, it tends to have a relationship to academic success. Now I need to jump on something that I feel very passionate about. Often I will look at PE forums and people will claim that we cannot make the statement that we can impact fitness development because we don't have the kids long enough. And I totally disagree with that. We can impact both directly and indirectly. Clearly, the time I spend with kids is direct, but if kids are looking at their fitness profiles and saying, I need to improve, then that's an indirect. They might go off and do things on their own. If I can talk a kid into turning out for a sport, or if they have a positive feeling about their body and they never had that before, they may go out and do something else. So we impact their fitness development in many ways, direct and indirect, and I claim it and I'm proud of it. I want all of our administrators to hold us accountable for skill development. We never want to get to the point where the only thing we're hanging our hat on is fitness. Okay, we know that adults who become adults without good physical skills or a wide range of physical skills just are not going to be as active. And we also know that as adults get older, fewer and fewer of them do team sports. So if we're teaching skills and able to prove skill development in a wide range of things such as yoga, martial arts, dance, as well as, you know, team and individual sports, yes, they should ask us to show, hey, what are you doing there? Holding us accountable for fitness and health knowledge is a big one. You know, the world is full of ex-athletes who are out of shape. And this is a great segue for me to talk about waivers at the high school and middle school level. Okay, there's just no way that you can waive PE for a marching band or anything else and expect that the kids are going to learn the health and fitness knowledge to stay healthy as adults. So it's a great opportunity to talk about that. Social skill development is one of my favorites because I believe that in physical education, we are uniquely positioned, okay, to break down social barriers because everything we do is social. Now, this is not an easy one to measure, but it should be evident in all physical education programs. Now, the photo here is our big Christmas time dance contest. At our school, every single student every year goes through a social dance program where they learn how to respectfully dance with someone of the opposite gender. And it leads to a huge contest with a big audience. And I make a point of inviting the school board to come watch these things because all of a sudden they're saying, wow, there's a lot more going on in physical education than I thought. Kids are learning skills that go way beyond just the physical education class. And finally, if they're going to hold us accountable, let's be accountable for being an active part of the academic life of the school. In too many places I've seen, there's the school over here, and there's the PE department over here, and they're not really meshed tightly in there. We are part of the academic life of the school. And some of the things we do are simple things. After the swing dance unit in 6th grade, many of the classroom teachers then had the kids do some writing pieces based on things like that. Another one we did, the MSP is our state testing, academic testing in the state of Washington. So one year, physical education, art, and music decided, hey, we're going to have a pep rally, not just for sports on campus, but for the upcoming, tests. So we collaborated for a huge pep rally with lots of skits and things right before we went into a testing sequence. And, finally, we also, as I mentioned, we had the dance contest going on, school-wide competitions. And this went just beyond what happens in PE. Here are all these kids competing in a dance contest. There's a live band back there. And that live band is made up of other teachers. So we're kind of integrating the rest of the school into some of the things that we're doing. Now, at this point, if you've gone through all of this fitness stats, you've tied it to academic success, you've put a human face on it, you've educated them, here's what we're accountable for, they should be utterly and completely sold on the value of your physical education program. Okay, and that was our primary goal of the school board presentation. But this is also now exactly the time to start letting our school board know that we face some challenges too. I'm not going to let this opportunity pass to ask for some things. So in this case, I want them to know we have 3 problems that are happening right now that we need to address. And we'll start with the 6th grade problem. In this graph, when I showed this to the school board, I said, this is the 6th grade down here at the bottom. And this is a graph of the 5 tests we give for fitness. What percentage of students could reach the healthy level on all 5? Obviously, the 6th grade is way, way below our 7th and 8th grade. What's going on with this? Now, part of it is, the sports that are available in 7th and 8th grade, but a lot of it is our physical education program. When the economy went bad in our district, they got rid of one of our elementary positions. Okay, so kids were getting less PE, and the result is obvious. They're not as fit when we get them in 6th grade, and that has an impact on how well they're going to do academically in the 6th grade. The other problem we have, or challenge, is when the economy went bad, we ended up with a decrease in opportunities for physical activity in our district. prior to the economy going bad, we'd put a lot of effort into upgrading things. We'd had a PEP grant and a variety of other things. Well, all of a sudden, the economy's bad. We lose an elementary PE position. Middle school C teams were eliminated, and that was terrible, because for many of these middle school students, these are not the great athletes on these teams. These are kids who, that's maybe their one and only chance to do team sports, and it was a terrible loss. The same with the elimination of the high school freshman teams. So, all of these things were money driven, and we definitely wanted to bring up this and, hey, we see this. Now, I also need to say that prior to the economic downturn, I hadn't in my early years been doing school district presentations. It wasn't until later that I started doing that. So I have no idea if we had educated early whether maybe not all of these things would have happened. We had a decreased use of professional development and resources. The district spent a lot of money to purchase the WellNet software and curriculum materials from Focus Fitness. For our small district, it was around $30,000. And it ended up that eventually it was only being used by the middle school and not at all by the high school, and just a little bit maybe, at our elementary schools. And wow, why this should be used by everybody. So let's, make them aware of that. Obviously, we were not also getting district-wide health and fitness professional development. They weren't paying for conferences, and even when we had in-services days, health and fitness was no longer meeting as a group like we used to. And we also had a health and fitness committee that was eliminated. Now, this originally came out when the feds mandated a wellness policy for all schools. I'm sure many of you went through that. There was a committee that wrote a wellness policy, and in many cases, it was just stuffed away in a back, file somewhere, and not really a living document. So I made clear to my school board, over the last 5 years, these are things we've lost, and it has an impact on what's happening academically for our kids. I also like to let them know that we hear from parents, and the parents are telling us that they appreciate physical education and that they really wanted more at the elementary level. And so I say to the school board, if you can increase physical education at the elementary level, you have the support of the community and parents. Great thing to have. You're going to increase the fitness of students in our district, and you're going to increase their academic achievements. At this point, as I am talking about all of the problems that we have and challenges, okay, I don't want to be just a whiner. I want to let the school board know that we are actually addressing some of these things ourselves and that we have a plan. And as an example, when we talked about at-risk students who weren't very fit, okay, the ones who could only pass 0 or 1 fitness test, we can show numbers that we're moving some of those kids out of that category, and that we had goals for the coming year to move even more kids into a fit category. So we're working to solve our own problems. We had a plan for increasing aerobic exercise and improving the diet of students and staff. They're simple things: adopt a pedometer contest, fitness contests with other middle schools, healthy lunch promotions, and just a lot of different things. I'm letting the school board know that, yeah, we're doing something about this, and that we're also getting funding from our local education foundation to do that. Now, at this point, I'm going to make an ask. We're going to talk about specific actions to reverse the decline of health and fitness at our school district. Restore and expand that elementary physical education position. Hey, within a year or two, we got it. We got it back. My presentation was far from the only reason why that happened. Lots of people were working to make sure we got the position back. But this school board presentation helped. We wanted to have an accountability structure to ensure that the district resources and curriculum are being used. And I'm again trying to catch the attention of some of the other principals in the audience. Hey, what's going on at your school? Professional development, we need that. Okay, let us get together and do that and restore a health and fitness committee, and obviously restore C-team and freshman team athletics. Now, we haven't gotten all those things, but we've gotten some, okay? And if we don't ask for it, you know, we're not going to get it. And what we should do right now, I said to the school board, hey, let's reinstitute the Health and Fitness Committee, and let's create a healthy environment. And it's going to improve the health of our students and staff, and it's going to increase our academic achievement. Now, at this point, the final thing I do is I point out to my school board the supporting documentation, whatever it is, the hard copy that I've left for all of them. One example is that the Washington Alliance, which is now Shape Washington, created a general advocacy flyer for physical education that stated the laws of the state, the evidence and value, and just all explained an awful lot of things. And I made sure that they saw that also. Now, at this point, if you're all done with your school board presentation and you're wondering how effective was I, you're going to be able to tell that when you ask for questions. Okay, if you get a lot of questions, that is a sign that you had their attention and that they're going to remember what's happening on that. So questions are a good thing. And the other thing that I'm very proud of is that at no point, once I started making these presentations, did we ever get our middle school program marginalized in any way. So that about wraps up what I have. Hopefully you can get out there and do a school board presentation. They're a lot of fun to do, and on a yearly basis, it could save your program. Colin?
Hey, Paul, thanks so much. Yeah, I appreciate your presentation. It's definitely motivating to myself, as my colleagues and I are working actually right now to put a school board presentation together. So just a question that I have for you as I was listening, Paul, what you had mentioned that your program had not been, it wasn't marginalized, you know, since these presentations had started, and you started advocating for yourself. What were some of the other benefits that you noticed? Was it just building a relationship with the school board members and administration, or were there other things as well?
You know, the main benefit obviously is the education of the school board. We all know that physical education, you know, doesn't have that good a reputation with some audiences based on what they experienced when they were young. So this education with the school board and the audience that's listening is the single most important thing that we did. The other thing that's real important is I got real comfortable doing it. And because I got comfortable doing these presentations, I do that kind of thing more often. So for me personally, it had that impact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. The more you do something, the more comfortable you feel. And obviously, the more comfortable you feel, the bigger the amount of impact you can have. So yeah, thank you, Paul. I really like the way that you broke everything down for us, you know, and how, yeah, you just broke it down into simple steps. And I think it'll greatly benefit people who are able to tune in. So yeah, thanks for putting together this presentation, and everyone, whether you're watching live or recorded, thanks for tuning in, and hope you have a good day or night. Take care, everyone.